Hey everybody, this is Tracy here with another edition of A View from Tracy's Point, and I am here with an update to the video that I did last night with the breaking news that Steve Greenberg and Mike Leonard were leaving R.Kelly's team, or at least attempting to leave the team. And so I told you that I would come back with any updates to the story. Well, as it turns out, it looks like R.Kelly actually fired Greenberg and Leonard, and not so much that he fired Leonard, because remember, Greenberg brought Mike Leonard on, and so Mike Leonard probably is just going along to get along. And it looks like maybe Nicole and Tom Farinella are taking over the lead roles based on some of the verbiage that is coming out, or there may be new lawyers coming on. And after I posted that video, I remembered when Don Russell was on Texas Black Diamond's channel about a month or so ago, he did indicate that people should be looking out for a new team to be coming on board, and that by the time R. Kelly's case goes to trial, that Steve Greenberg would not be a part of the team. And so as much as people drag Don Russell, he seems to have like an inside view. So in any event, TMZ came out with an article after I did my video, and in that article it states R. Kelly's two lead attorneys are jumping ship. They officially want off the case just as the federal trial is approaching. Attorney Steve Greenberg and Michael Leonard, who have been with Kelly for years, filed documents late Monday requesting to withdraw from the case. Greenberg and Leonard told TMZ, "We refuse to try a case with lawyers who don't have the appropriate level of experience and skill because that is not in the client's best interest. It is a shame that lawyers can't suppress their own egos or self-interest and do or act in the client's best interest." And that is really interesting that Greenberg would say that, because he took to Twitter in a very unprofessional manner and made subliminal tweets such as, "Sometimes people just won't listen and there is nothing you can do." And then he also went on to say, "Sometimes you can't save someone from themselves no matter how hard you try." And of course, R. Kelly supporters did not take kindly to this, and they tore into Greenberg, and some of their comments included Pretty Pink 2021 wrote, "No, you should have exited the R. Kelly case respectfully. You know damn well you did everything possible to sabotage this case. I hope someone files a grievance to the Bar Association." Level Up Again 2020 wrote, "What really happened? What do you mean? Talk clearly." Lolita Cookie Wright wrote, "Very disappointing news, however vague. I appreciate clear response. Not happening considering what you've been up against. I trust you did everything in your power. Just wasn't enough. Thank you, Attorney Greenberg." And she was one of the few supporters. Everyone else seemed to have been happy that he was leaving the case. Faye Thomas 30 wrote, "Told too much of that man's business and never knew what was coming down the pipe, but ran to Twitter to nonsense. If you couldn't fulfill the job, you shouldn't have taken it." Then Tamika Brown sent up a prayer for R. Kelly. Kimmy Cole 101 wrote, "The person you reference is fighting for his life. This does not belong on Twitter." And that sentiment was shared by many followers. So back to the TMZ article, after Greenberg, tried to make it seem as though he and Leonard were leaving the case because, they didn't want to work with these other attorneys that didn't have federal case experience. The article went on to say the remaining Kelly attorneys with whom the ones clearly have beef are Thomas A. Farinella and Nicole Blank Becker. And they have a different view of how this went down. They tell us the only comment we have at this time is that Mr. Kelly terminated both lawyers prior to filing their motions. And so basically saying that the motion to withdraw was filed in response to the fact that R.Kelly had already terminated them, and they basically wanted to save face. And the article goes on to say now the judge would have to sign off before Greenberg and Leonard could be fired, and that hasn't happened yet. And I believe there is a status hearing that is taking place tomorrow that will address that. And either way, this power struggle on his legal team comes at a crucial time for Kelly. And it goes on to talk about how his Eastern District of New York case is actually supposed to start on August 9th. Greenberg and Leonard also told TMZ that they want out because, in their opinions, Farinella and Becker don't have enough experience with federal criminal cases. But they added, "We wish Mr. Kelly nothing but the greatest success." So we haven't heard from Doug Anton in a while. People were saying that he had been terminated. We do know that he was removed as an attorney of record in the Eastern District of New York case a few months ago. And it'll be interesting to see if he has added back on. But he also decided to get into the social media commentary, sending his own subliminal messages and sharing screen prints to his Instagram account. So I don't know if that means that he's back on the case or what is going on in that situation. But this is just really an awful situation. I know some people are thinking that this is a strategic move. I don't know who or how it would benefit his case by having this drama taking place, a couple of months out from the trial beginning. And then it was also reported in another article that I read, and I believe it was by John Metzer with the Chicago Sun-Times or either the Chicago Tribune, where he wrote that one of the attorneys shared with him that Greenberg already knew that this was coming down the pipe because he went to visit R.Kelly and R.Kelly refused his visit. And that happened several weeks ago or a month ago. And you guys remember, whenever I talk about the hearings, I always talk about how R.Kelly is on the call when they're having these status hearings. And we know that he's on the call because when the calls open up, they acknowledge that he's on the phone. He says hello to the judge, and then we don't hear anything else from him throughout the rest of the status hearing, and they don't even acknowledge him when they end the call. They're joking and laughing, and then they just say goodbye and hang up the phone. And I just always thought that that was a level of disrespect. I know that there's not much he can say on the call, but to just not even acknowledge him as they're saying their goodbyes, I thought was very disrespectful. So just want to bring you this little bit of information that's slowly leaking out. If anything else comes out, of course, I'll bring it back to you. But what do you guys think about this? I know a lot of people are happy that Greenberg is gone. But what do you feel about Greenberg taking to social media and, trying to save face instead of just walking away from the case? And that since all of this began, R.Kelly has had several attorneys that have left the case. Remember the Middle Eastern guys who were handling a portion of the case. I think it was the civil cases. They just basically withdrew. Then there was the lady who was working on the child support portion. She just withdrew. And then there was the guy that was working, in case any offers for a plea deal came up. We haven't heard anything else from him. So why wouldn't Steve Greenberg just bow out gracefully and move on instead of trying to turn this into like some social media discussion where he's not only has he made his client look bad over the past 2 years, but now you're kind of questioning his judgment in what he wants to do, because it is his life that's at stake, not Steve Greenberg's reputation as an attorney, which wasn't that good when any of this started in the first place. So guys, go ahead, leave your comments below, rate the video, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And until the next time, I shall talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.